The gift of a new year is this. You get to start from scratch. Hey, creating maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your Reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create. To me, a new year is the most wonderful time of the year. It feels fresh, new, clean, and full of possibilities. I absolutely love it and feel so rejuvenated right now. How about you? Are you excited about this new year? I hope you are. A new year is like the clean first page of a journal or freshly washed sheets. It's just so good. So I know people can be a little muted or bah humbug about a new year because they have trauma about setting and failing New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. And if that's you, I hope I can infuse you with some joy and excitement about this time of year and get you hopeful about what you get to do with this new year. This could be your year, my creating maven. I know, but this really could be your year in a good way. Toward the end of last year, I took a trip to Sierra Leone, and towards the end of that trip, I had a follow-up meeting with some girlfriends about goals we'd set for ourselves in 2022. We laughed and we reflected on how we'd done in achieving our goals and what it all meant for us. And as we got ready to set goals for 2023, I kind of choked up and got teary-eyed. And I was just like, you know what? Instead of 3, can we just set 1 goal this year? I kind of feel like I failed last year. And then I started crying. And I leaned in on one of my girlfriends, and people, I don't know where this came from, but it was real. You see, in 2022, I had set, and we had all set 3 major goals for myself. And the only one I felt like I really achieved was to consistently create and deliver on this Reframe to Create podcast. The other 2 were a flop. At least that's what I thought. But even on this, my girlfriends helped me to get a reframe. You see, they know me, and they know I'm a planner, and I can get very perfectionist about my planning, especially planning aspects of my life. So not meeting my own personal goals that I'd set, last year was kind of devastating for me. But my friend Leanne she said something that helped me to see things differently. She said something to the effect of, I think you're feeling bad because you didn't make the goals you set out to make at the start of the year, but you ended up doing things. You made other goals, just not the exact ones that you'd set out to make. And these were goals that were in response to your life as it happened. And it was true. When I look back on it, I hit some important life milestones, but they weren't milestones I'd planned for myself to hit. They were surprising and surprises, and it was surprisingly rewarding nonetheless. It was like my trip with Pauline and Sylvia to Cape Verde last year. So in the second week of my 3-week vacation to Sierra Leone, we slipped in a girlfriend's trip to Cape Verde, and boy, was it a fun comedy of errors and an adventure. So if you don't know, Cape Verde is not, the people there call it Cabo Verde. It's not just one island, but it's 13 islands and only 10 of them are habitable. So you might wonder, okay, so how did I get to Cape Verde without knowing that I was going to a multi-island nation? Well, it's complicated. There was a lot of stuff going on before we actually got there for me and all of us. But besides, I was traveling with Sylvia, who is like a travel planner guru. So I was checked out for weeks before. I was just it'll work out. We'll get there. As far as I was concerned, she got it. And, and we were just going to push through, and I was just going to click and buy whatever stuff they told me to book. So the trip started out with a crazy delayed flight from Freetown to Dakar. And then we ended up getting into C.R.E.A.T.E, which is the main capital on the Santiago Island in Cape Verde. And then we needed to get to Sal, a different island, for a week. And then we ended up getting there to C.R.E.A.T.E on a week where all the regional flights were completely booked. And then we had to take a detour to a different island, São Vincent, for the day, and then on to Sal, and then back to C.R.E.A.T.E. and then back to Tarrafal on Santiago Island, and then back to Dakar for a crazy airport experience of Air Senegal needing to find us an aircraft to get us back to Freetown. It was crazy. It was funny. It was hilarious. It was strangely relaxing still, even as it was adventurous and insightful all at the same time. And we just kept reflecting and laughing and thinking about what all of it meant as we were going along the trip. And in the end, it was the most amazing trip that we did not plan. But just because we didn't plan it didn't mean it wasn't planned or go according to plan. You know what I mean? I mean, this was definitely a divinely ordered and very well organized trip. It was amazing. It was a trip we didn't know we needed in exactly the way we needed it, but didn't know to plan. And this brings me back to what Leanne said to me about me ending up hitting different milestones than the ones I'd planned. In many ways, that's what my year was like and how it came to an end. It wasn't the years that I planned, but it was the year that I needed. And the result has been to feel a little more open to the unknown. And I need that openness and bravery for 2023. I need it. And you probably do too. I mean, it's a new year. When we finally did get around to setting our one new goal for the year, the ladies had a genius idea for what my one thing should be in support of my commitment to staying open and in accordance with the theme of the year and the trip. Sylvia said to me again, because she'd been pressing me on this for weeks, she's like, Joy, you've got to watch Unscratched on Netflix. And then Leanne interjected and she's like, Sylvia, it's not Unscratched, it's From Scratch. And so she'd gotten the title of the movie wrong this whole time. And so we were laughing and just cracking up. But Leanne went on to say, you know, for Joy, your theme that seems just perfect is this idea of from scratch. And it just felt so right. So that's my motto for the year. It's from this series on Netflix, whose title is From Scratch. And it's all things that I love about a new year. It's the ultimate reframe. A blank page, freshness, possibilities, getting to start again, even when you feel like you didn't hit all your marks before. Getting to start again from where you are with all your gifts, knowledge, wisdom, and experience that you have so far. So, of course, I had to get to watching the actual Netflix series that inspired this motto. And that's what I did on the entire plane ride back to the US. If you haven't seen it, you definitely want to give it a shot. It's cinematic gold with all the heart tugging you need to ugly cry on an international flight with a bunch of strangers. I've never seen Zoe Saldana in such top-notch acting form. She's exceptional in it. And I learned 3 major things from watching From Scratch that I'm taking with me into the new year. And I think you should too, as a creating maven who is looking to find inspiration to create again. 1, move to create momentum. We all get stuck sometimes, and maybe last year you felt stuck when it came to creating. There are so many reasons for this. For many people, it's grief. It could be grieving things, people, or even lost dreams. 2022 was a year when I lost a couple people, and I know quite a few people who lost people as well. It can be paralyzing to grieve people or even things that change in your life. And sometimes you just don't know what to do with all the changes, the endings, and all the emotions that come because of it. Sometimes you want to just roll up into a ball and hope the pain goes away, or, you know, that it all just magically turns back to the way that things used to be. But life doesn't work that way. And sometimes when you're stuck, you've got to just move to even start to see a path forward. This is what Amy did in From Scratch. The entire series starts with her moving to Italy to explore her love of art. She's in law school at the time, but it's just not feeding a part of her that keeps calling out to be expressed. Is this something you can relate to? Are you somewhere or in something that just doesn't answer the call and cry which is within you to create? What do? I'll tell you what Amy does. She packs up her bags and she moves. And it's just for the summer, but she moves. And it creates the momentum she needs for the rest of her life in the series. So even though she goes back to the States, that move sort of shakes everything up for her. So maybe it's time for you to move. Maybe it's not moving jobs, or maybe it is. Maybe it's time to move on from people. Maybe still jobs, move places, move spaces, move something, move your furniture around. Maybe it's time for you to shake things up so that your creating juices can get flowing again. Of course, it will take courage. And of course, there is no roadmap. But if you've read anything about regrets people have towards the end of their lives, it's often about the things they didn't do, the moves they didn't make. So maybe it's time for you to move. 2, release. Let go of what's not working or what you're merely tolerating. This is a tough one because it's not the bad things that we struggle to let go of. No, rather it's the good things, the almost there things, the kind of things. But these good things aren't necessarily the right things for us. For Amy, her good thing was law school. But to hold on to law school meant she would be letting go of what she truly wanted, which was for art to be the center and not just on the periphery of her life. And this is a tough one for me because it's very much tied deeply to definitions of success. The ones society has for me and the ones that society has for you. What's more successful than being in law school and becoming a lawyer? And the ones that we feel inside of ourselves that might be different, that might require us to step out. These are the different ones that might invite a lot of furrowed brows, confused looks, and questions we don't want to answer or maybe don't even have the answer for. This is where the golden handcuffs and the allure of safety and security can make it hard to let go. It's really hard. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not an easy thing to think through about releasing. It's going to take courage to release sure things that have a hold on us when what we really want keeps calling. If nothing is calling, then, fine, it's no problem. But that conflict of being in something that feels safe, but yet having the urge and feeling the call to leave that safety. Wow. It feels very familiar. This feels very familiar because for me years ago when I was getting ready to quit my job, this is the feeling that I had. I was in a sure thing. What's a more sure thing than a salaried position? But I knew that I had to let go of it if I was going to experience something different. And get this, at the time, I didn't even have a full picture of what that different next thing was. I just released what I knew. And this is what I've come to learn as a result. This is what I've come to learn about releasing what you know before you go on to something else. There are dreams that we have in us that we can never dream because those dreams can only awaken in the place we go to when we've let go of what we know now. You hear me? There are dreams that only arise after we release what we know now. There are dreams we can't even take action on because we don't even know anything about them because they don't belong to the here and now. They don't belong to what we're clutching in our hands now. They belong to somewhere else. They belong to some time else. So maybe like Amy, it's time for you to release what is so you can dream a new dream. 3, embrace. Even as we're letting go, we need to be embracing the new things that want to come our way. Amy struggled with this at first when she met Lino. He was a great thing coming into her life that she almost didn't embrace, but thankfully she came to her senses and she did. Sometimes when it's time, we can be scared to embrace good things because we think it's just too soon after we let go of one thing and we think there should be a lag time. But sometimes your life and dream have been chomping at the bit, just waiting for you to be ready for them. So it doesn't want to waste any more time. And all throughout the series, Amy embraced other things. She embraced her family's love. She embraced her dreams. She embraced it all. It wasn't always the natural thing for her to do, but she eventually got around to it. When we're walking into the new, it can be hard to fully embrace it because it's different and strange, but we have to have the courage for this. as well if we're truly going to take advantage of what newness for creating and living this new year has to offer. Maybe it's time for you to embrace. And this is it. These are the lessons of From Scratch that we need if we're going to make real moves in 2023. Move, release, embrace. I owe a big thank you to my friends Sylvia and Leanne, who encouraged me to take on From Scratch as my theme for 2023. And I hope you'll find inspiration in this as well. I hope, like me, you'll come to every moment and opportunity this year with a willingness to be open, to grow, and to do things differently. With a willingness to move, release, and embrace. Are you ready for this, my creating maven? Are you ready for this in 2023? However you feel about last year, however you feel about 2022, the beauty of 2023 is that you get to start from scratch with all the resources, experiences, and wisdom you've got so far. You can create again from scratch. Let's do it. See you soon, creating maven. Until then, remember to always ask yourself, what will I create?